As soon as we make it back, we'd better split up and go our own ways. Try to enter from some inconspicuous place and do not draw attention to yourself. If we're lucky, everyone else might still be asleep. And about all the questions you had before. You don't feel like talking, I understand. When you're ready, come see me. Until then, get some good rest. I'll take care of concealing everything that happened. It's the least I can do. And hey, Sink. Sorry, it's nothing. You let your body fall on the bed. Looking up at the ceiling with wide eyes, you don't know how many hours pass until you finally feel your consciousness fading. Or that was what you expected. What in the world is that noise? You get up and check the hallway. The incredibly annoying noise seems to be coming from... You knock on Thistle's door first, but it seems he's not back in his room yet. Stressed, you make your way to the hall. Sink, are you alright? Everyone else has already gathered in the hall, all except Thistle. Violet lets out a breath of relief upon seeing you. Rue looks to be deep in thought. Rose seems to be busy tinkering with several gadgets. What is going on? What is that noise? Someone destroyed the cameras on the other side of the river. It's an attack? I don't know. The location of the destroyed cameras is quite far from here, but we should be on the lookout. I've been trying to get in touch with Helio and Columbine, but they aren't in their rooms. I haven't been able to find them anywhere else. I don't know if it's related or if... Rose trails off. You remain tense, worried what they may have discovered. But nobody says a thing. Nobody dares. Everyone here is a rival, after all. It's only natural for the numbers to be reduced. All those who remain in the castle have seen this happen so many times that now it is just a fact of life. There's no hope that any other cause could be behind their disappearance. I'm the only one hearing this alarm. What are you all doing just standing there? Thistle's voice comes from the top of the stairs and brings you all back to reality. Sorry, boss, but we're missing a few hands and... There's still time. We need to first identify if it's something dangerous, and then... A knock rings out from the main door of the castle, interrupting Thistle's words. Everyone turns around, unable to believe what they just heard. Rose, deactivate the alarm. Everyone else take cover. Weren't they supposed to be far from here? I don't know. I'm as worried as you are. The doors open, slowly, trembling and creaking, as if under a terrible pressure. You'd seen their fortitude with your own eyes, locked, reinforced with metal, and heavier than anyone could ever push with their own strength alone. But despite that, they open to the mere will of your new guest. Hello? Anybody home? Weird. I'm sure I heard some ringing sound up until a minute ago. The figure makes her way in without a care in the world. Her high heels echo upon the floor's marble up until she stops at the very center of the room. Oh my, I didn't expect this. You lean out from your hiding place, trying to assess the situation. It's a girl with a very unique appearance. Her imposing behavior and adult clothes clashes with her short height and delicate features. It's Tutorial Girl. At first sight, anyone would think she's just a little kid. But no one can take their eyes off this girl as she adjusts her hair and grins proudly, every one of her gestures overflowing with arrogance. What are you doing here, Fennel? So, Thistle, you've been here all along. You really played hard to get, you old bastard. Hard as steel and clear as a bell, Fennel's name reverberates deep and loud for everyone in the room, leaving them speechless. Yes, it's a name you've heard before. The heroine of Maya, the girl who put an end to the kingdom's civil war as a mere teenager. Considered the best magician in the entire world and probably the best of all time. You weren't supposed to be here. Why did you come to Maya in the first place? What do you think I'm doing here? Tourism? Don't go senile so soon, please. Don't tell me that you and... You really want to talk about all that in front of this audience? This place echoes, you know. And since we're on it, quite the nice castle you've all pinched for yourselves. Fits you though, all this antique business. Why don't you tell me what you're cooking up here? The rest can take this opportunity to come out of their hiding spots too. All those bloodthirsty gazes on me feel exhausting. Haven't you all learned the proper way to receive a lady? You creep closer, unable to contain your curiosity surrounding these two and their apparent past together. Plus, this is the first time you've ever seen your leader truly irritated. We have an alliance, the last survivors on this side of the river. I imagine you already know the situation after the incident. I see. Yeah, everything out there is the same, so I get the idea. The girl doesn't pay much attention, rolling her eyes and scanning the room, until her gaze finds you.
Oh.
Fennel's eyes light up and her lips curve into another big grin.
Well, I'll be brief. I have 2 announcements to make. First, I've come in peace. I won't bother you guys. I'll even join this alliance of yours. I want to play along for a while, you could say. I'm a heroine after all. No need to be so defensive.
If the majority votes in your favor, you can join, as long as you follow a set of regulations. If you do so, I doubt anyone would dare to complain about you joining.
Sure, whatever. Pleased to meet you all and all that. Now that we're friends, for our second point...
The girl opens her arms wide, twirling theatrically and raising her voice to make sure everyone's listening.
I've come from very far away and I've crooned through the entire peninsula from bottom to top and top to bottom. This was the last place for me to visit, so I'm speaking with total conviction here.
The alleged heroine stops spinning after 2 rotations, feeling obliged to hide her smile behind her hands at the thought of what she's about to say.
Aren't you already tired of this absurd game? If so, all the people in this castle, including me, are in luck. We're the last survivors of this game. The last before this game ends. For there's no one else alive in the entire world.
The day I lost it all. Sorry for the delay, today was crazy. After everything else that happened, Fennel's choice of timing was too much. Everyone's been on extra high alert. And she just had to announce she knew me right off the bat, which put me in everyone's radar. No matter what I say now, I look suspicious. It's a little unfair that Fennel seems to be sleeping soundly without a care, while here I am unable to sleep a wink. What about you? Did you manage to get some sleep before the alarm went off? This day has been a long one for you, full of questions, doubts, arguments and confrontations. It doesn't help that your numbers here in the castle have been reduced. And despite all that, Thistle's casual tone and chatty character makes it feel like this is all minor news to him. You're not up for jokes after all that's transpired. Your silence makes that clear to Thistle. Yes, of course. It's better if we leave the chit-chat for later. All in all, I promised that I would answer any questions you have, so I suppose we have a lot to talk about. So, shoot, I'm ready. Who am I? That's easy. You're Sync. Next. You know perfectly well what I mean. It's not like I was joking, completely. The look you give him is all Thistle needs to know about your feelings at the Smems. Alright, I'll say, but it's not anything you haven't figured out already. You are a Tulpa, my Tulpa, born from my subconscious. But beyond the synchronization of our senses during a duel, we're different and distinct individual people. I don't know what you're thinking, and our relationship doesn't need to change. Did you know from the beginning that I was a Tulpa? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Your deference to me would have raised many questions from the others. It's the same reason why I voted against you when you made it to the castle. I already had a strong inkling that you would make the cut, so my vote would indirectly help to protect the 2 of us. My proposal to exchange information was also my particular way to ensure our information is aligned, and to allow us to work as a team without revealing anything. Plus, I do appreciate when a relationship is genuine and not the result of obligation. And why do I not remember anything? Shouldn't I remember that you're my human host? Why is that, I wonder? I have no idea myself. You huff angrily. Each question you pose him is like taking 2 steps back. You know all too well how much he loves to give long speeches over explaining everything. Seeing him being so succinct and mysterious now just makes it worse. Nobody knows exactly why tulpas are born. Just like all the rest, you happen to suddenly appear out of thin air. Life now at the castle seems comfortable and peaceful, but that wasn't the case before. We've been through many battles and conflicts in the past, and one of those we had to go our separate ways. After we split up, I don't know what you did or where you've been. I did know that so long as I stayed alive, you would be able to keep going until we could meet again. We can discuss the details about it now or later, whatever you wish. As if I could believe anything coming from you. I think everything I've said up until now makes enough sense, so you can at least take that information seriously. In any case, we never spent that long together. I don't know at what point you lost your memories. And to be honest, any memories you had from before the incident would only be my own subconscious invention, so I think it's honestly better if you don't have any of those. Honestly, wasn't it better that you and I started from scratch just like this? This is the first time you felt a semblance of weakness coming from Thistle. He seems distant, distracted. Perhaps this may be harder on him than you originally thought. Of course, he tries to cover it up immediately. The moment you decided to live according to your own experiences is the moment you became someone new. You're your own self, Sync. It's easy for you to say that. I don't even know if that name belongs to me. You're talking about that robe, right? Yes, zinc foil is printed on the inner part of the collar. That's where I took the name zinc, but this rope doesn't belong to me. Thistle pulls the tip of your hood with 2 fingers, this time to take it out. He looks directly into your eyes. The owner of that robe is not here anymore, and I'm sure she would be happy to know someone else is taking care of it. You don't have to worry. As I said before, you are your own self. That past doesn't concern you. Thistle's voice pauses slightly, sounding almost choked for a brief moment. Your curiosity is thoroughly piqued, but you also understand that he has his own privacy. No matter how you try to approach that topic, you know he will definitely avoid it with eloquence. It's better if you focus on other questions for now. Who are you? A normal dude, quite conventional but always jovial. Normal dudes don't typically carry a sniper rifle around or know how to use one. That depends on the country where you're asking. No reaction from your part. Thistle can't help but sigh, heartbroken. I did military service when I was young, plus I have a hunting license. I'm one of the very few in Maya who owns one and also knows how to use it. And it seems you know a few tricks too. I can create a special kind of ammunition with my aura and give the bullets different properties. One type can penetrate any surface and cross long distances, the other explodes on contact, so it's useful if I miss the primary target but did manage to hit something nearby. It saves ammo, doesn't make any noise, can't get stuck, doesn't leave behind any traces, quite convenient to say the least. Necessity is the mother of invention, after all. That's not what I was asking though. I wanted to know more about you, my host. I know, that's why I told you I'm a normal man, well within the boundaries of what can be considered normal after the incident at least. I'm just fighting for my own interests just like everyone else, surviving one day at a time. That's why I organized this castle. We gathered a small group together and before I realized I was being named the leader. And as long as you have the same plan, we'll have to collaborate. We're partners, no more, no less. Okay. What are we gonna do? The same things we've been doing all this time. Do you have any better ideas? No, but nothing has changed between us, Sink. You being a tulpa doesn't change our lives. Keep living, that's all we can do. Wait for the next battle or just vanish like ashes in the wind like the rest. There's no other way, right? Don't ask questions you already know the answers to. And now that I know I'm a tulpa, how long do we have left? You mean your limited lifespan? You nod timidly. From our experience so far, we've learned that tulpas have quite a while before they hit this time limit. However, it's not a fixed length of time. It changes depending on the individual. It's most likely related to the magical potential of their hosts, since tulpas are a spell of sorts, after all. We previously discovered that just before tulpas get to this limit, the human hosts start feeling pain and unease. However, it should be noted that tulpas don't cause any other discomfort in their host beyond this, so in that sense they are different from any other magic spell. My theory is that after the incident, something aided their creation. After that initial spark, they continue working until they run out of fuel. That's why they need to absorb other tulpas to stay alive. In your case, we just won a duel, so you shouldn't worry too much. Just keep going with your normal life for as long as possible. As if this could be called normal in any shape or form. Thistle shrugs helplessly. If I ever start feeling some symptoms, I'll let you know. That's all I can do. Didn't you say its duration depends on the host? I'm not so sure I have that long with, well, you as my host. Aw, don't you believe in me? Sure, I'm not at my best right now, to be honest, but your hesitation isn't helping. If I'm tulpa, does that mean? Don't have any weird ideas now. I don't want you to start crying over the am I human or not thing. I was thinking more along the lines of does that mean I'm immortal? But there are differences between me and other humans, isn't that right? There are things you have not told me. Yes, and now that you know, I suppose I must tell you. Sadly, the monolith doesn't contain all you need to know. We had to learn that the hard way by ourselves. As Thistle continues talking, you touch your own hands, legs, stomach, face. There's nothing different about you, but just thinking about this new truth, about how you were born from some kind of spell, makes you fear the possibility of suddenly vanishing as suddenly as you appear. As you know, the most important detail about tulpas is their immortality, outside of a duel. You can be damaged, you can bleed like anyone else, but the moment you're on the verge of death, you'll heal up. From what I understand, the process feels like losing consciousness for a few seconds, then waking up as if nothing happens. But as long as you're not in life-threatening danger, you're just like everyone else. You can even get sick. Not like I'd be interested in testing that out, since I know I feel pain just the same too. Then there are a couple of other things we didn't tell you before. For example, there are some words that you cannot hear. What do you mean I cannot hear? Let's test it out. Huh? What the? You can hear the sound of my words, but you can't recognize them. It's akin to listening to a foreign language. For you, it's nothing but white noise. It'll attract your attention and make you turn around, but it's like an indistinct whisper. You might even think it was just your imagination. It's not quite like listening to a foreign language, though. If you hear the same word, well, maybe. If you hear the same word in a foreign language twice, you'll still, you'll know that that's the word you heard. You just don't know what it means. But assuming, like, from what I could gather from our talk before, at the end of the duel, that might be the same case with this too. But what words are those? How is this possible? The words change depending on the talker. They're not some universal code words. They encompass any possible hint or reference to a particular person. To whom? To the real person you resemble the most. What? How does that make any sense? You emerged from my subconscious, right? The subconscious is formed from memories and experience, so it makes sense that you look like somebody else I've known in the past. I didn't choose for you to look like that, it just happened. According to my own subjective observations, there are also some differences between the Topa and that original person. You may be a younger version of that person, you may have a different eye color, a different hairstyle, wear different clothes. It's just subjectivity that makes the whole situation especially complex. In short, any kind of hint, verbal or otherwise, about the identity of this person or group of people will be impossible for you to recognize. You can't even hear their name or any other detail that would help you identify that person. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I just experienced it myself, but... Oh, and there's even more. I don't know if you realized yet, but there are no mirrors in this room. There's no mirrors in the entire castle. I asked about it when I arrived, but no one really wanted to look for any, so I didn't insist. It's because everyone has their own interests in mind. Mirrors could attract some trouble. In the same way that you cannot hear the name of that person, you cannot recognize their face either. And consequently, you cannot recognize your own face. I can't recognize my own face? No, wait, there's no way that's true. There's many windows and other surfaces where I've seen my own reflection. Of course I recognize myself. If that wasn't the case, then Are you sure about that? You touch your face in a panic, then run over to the closest window. You can barely see your reflection in the crystal and you try to move around looking for the perfect angle. The image is slightly distorted, but you can see it clearly. Your two eyes, your nose, your mouth. You can see yourself. But you can't recognize yourself. Sight and recognition are two different things. If you were to look again in 5 minutes, it may seem like a completely different person, as if you don't know who you're looking at. Your experience is the exact same as those who suffer prosopagnosia, just in case you were interested in looking it up. Your eyes are perfectly fine, it's just your brain doesn't seem capable of retaining information related to faces, or to be precise, your own face. So you can see your own reflection in the glass, and you can guess that's you just from common sense, but removed from this context, you'd need some kind of clue to recognize yourself. For instance, if I put your face in a lineup of other faces, it would be impossible for you to pick yourself out of the lineup. That's why mirrors are somewhat of a taboo here. It's thanks to that unique rope that you didn't really have any trouble identifying yourself in any context. You simply didn't have to pay attention. You wink one eye, watching your own reflection and focusing on your features. You try to imprint those features into your brain, however the moment you take your eyes off the glass, it's just like Thistle said. You're unable to visualize your own face by memory. About the battle the other day. Regarding that, I have nothing else to say. I understand your concerns. Not only have 2 people left us, but we are the ones at fault. I know I don't look affected at all, and what I said back then may have been cold and heartless, but you need your feet on the ground to stay alive. Up until now, I've had to manage for myself without you. Everything that's happened so far, it all adds up. If surviving in this environment has desensitized me, then so be it. Thistle's gaze is resolute, meeting your eyes without looking away. Why do we have this castle? We'll have to fight anyway. I told you already, I want to extend our lives here for as long as possible. Buy time while we look for another solution. As long as I live, I'll never give up or allow my life to go down the drain without a purpose. Don't be mistaken, everyone in this castle thinks the same. Every one of them is willing and able to take your life when it becomes necessary, or there are no other ways out. And do the rest also share your goal? To live in peace for as long as possible? Who knows? All I can say is that the time between disappearances is usually quite long. We can assume that no one wants to draw attention to themselves, at least. Up until the next fight, we should have some time. Tension in the castle should go down for a while. So that's all we're left with, preparing until the next battle. Alright then, tell me, shouldn't we have a plan during this time? I haven't seen us truly accomplishing anything, whether it's uncovering the mystery about the incident or strengthening ourselves for when the next fight comes. There's not much to do, sadly. If you can think of something, be my guest, but our hands are tied when it comes to investigating. And on the topic of combat, it would be too suspicious and give away too much information if the two of us were to suddenly start training together. Although of course we can talk more from now on so we can better prepare for what may happen. It shouldn't be all that necessary considering the strong mental union we shared during a duel. That was why I was able to arrive at your battle despite you telling me literally nothing. I was surprised myself at how instinctively I knew that what you wanted to do, where you were going, or even what you were able to see or hear. It didn't feel real at first. I noticed the sensation would vary from one moment to the next, and in some instances I wasn't even sure whether we were still connected. It's not like we can practice it freely either, since it happens only during duels. That's normal. I'm not used to it either. I don't think anyone knows how it works. But the fact you can talk about it means you're starting to accept the situation. To be perfectly frank, what worried me the most was the possibility you might want to stop fighting, or you wouldn't even try to defend yourself. You bow your head. There's nothing else you want to add. What's your relationship with Fennel? You just had to ask about that, huh? It would be weird if I didn't ask after that colourful introduction. That girl doesn't really think through the consequences of her actions. Even if what she said was true, she shouldn't just drop that kind of bomb so casually. You know, that fact about there not being anyone else alive. We're the last ones. Thistle actually looks disturbed. It's starkly different from how casually he can talk about anything else, no matter how cruel. Can we trust her words? It's complicated, but I believe it makes sense. She's travelled all around the peninsula and taken out everyone in her way. There's always the chance someone slipped through her fingers, but considering the average lifespan of tulpas, they'd be dead if they really did avoid fighting for so long. Rosemary did some calculations some time ago, actually. It's relatively easy if you extrapolate the new population density after the incident and calculate the average tulpas lifespan. Also, something that was bugging me for a long time, that whole thing about, uneven numbers. There were 7 people before, so there had to be another person. There's Fennel now, so we're down to 6 people. That makes perfect sense. So we've got a human tulpa pair for everyone. We know it's me and Thistle. So now we've got Rose, Violet, Rue, and Fennel left. What I'm most curious about is who's Fennel's tulpa. Or Fennel's human, who knows? It's hard to say. We'll see. That together with some approximations to how fast people are eliminated, and don't tell me the result matches our current situation. Scarily so. That's why Rosemary and I decided to keep it a secret so tension wouldn't shoot up. Then Fennel came along and destroyed it immediately. He let out a discouraged sigh. Plus there's the monolith as the city center here. It only makes sense that this game would end here. It's just a matter of time. And considering how many of us are left, our time is running short. I'm not like you, or Rose, or Fennel. You can talk about all of this like it's nothing, but abstract numbers on a page. I understand your pain, but someone has to do these numbers and confront reality. Nobody's made it this far with clean hands. And that goes for you too. Even if you try to suppress it, the images from that duel still permeate your mind. But you must erase these from your head, and try to return to the present with Thistle. Incidentally, you didn't answer my question yet. Excuse me? Your relationship with Fennel, don't play the fool. Oh, don't worry, I was about to bring it up. Yeah, sure. Don't look at me like that. There's no big secret to hide or anything. I was just her teacher for a while, kind of like a personal tutor. It was my job, and believe me, it wasn't easy to serve as the teacher to such a special student. Just think about it. Would a famous heroine like her just attend a normal school like any other teenager? Especially considering she lost her childhood to war. She needed an education tailored to her. Is she dangerous? She doesn't seem too fond of you. How many students are actually fond of their teachers? Beyond that, she isn't more dangerous than anyone else here. Her attitude has, let's say, plenty of room for improvement, but she's honest in a particular way and her fame is deserved. Don't be fooled by her height or pretty face. The legends about her don't do her justice. Not just because they portray her as someone far kinder and more relatable than she actually is, but because all of those tales of her feats fall short when compared to her true power. Is she that strong? More than strong. And now what? Do we leave her to live here in the castle like normal? We did that with you. It would be unfair otherwise. She said she came in peace, and considering how dangerous she is, I'd be wiser to stay close to her.
But she came here by herself.
And thanks to that, we have an even number of people again. That's good news.
It is?
Thistle's brows twitch as he waits for another question. You try to think of something else. You feel like there's so much more to ask, but nothing comes to mind. Anything else you want to know?
I would like to say that I do, but I feel like I've learned nothing so far. I might have even more doubts than before.
What were you expecting? You're asking questions like, what are we? Where are we going? From where do we come? If you wanted a philosophy lesson, you should have started off saying so.
I know. I don't know what I was expecting. I thought I would understand my aim, that your answers would show me my way forward.
The best answers are not those that are helpful, but those which shake your very core and force you to improve your questions. Do you really think you've learned nothing up until now? That you're the exact same person as before?
The same. I do not feel different, knowing that I'm a tulpa doesn't change anything. I even expected to feel different after the duel due to that absorbing your rival thing. But I feel nothing. Nothing beyond fear, uncertainty.
That's great progress.
And also the burning desire to smack that grin off your face.
Alright, let's not progress that much.
With you, the last thing I'd ever feel is progress. I still feel I'm missing something. Too many things. Important questions I should be asking you.
Do you think so? It wasn't my intention. For me, it's quite the opposite. It's fulfilling to have you here with me. I imagine it has to do with what you consider important.
Important? I don't even know what that means.
That none of those victories had any value.
So, you say your name is Sink? Oh yeah, sure, I don't mind you showing me around.
One would usually say thank you in this situation.
The new day starts with good intentions as you attempt to start from scratch with Fennel.
Fennel, however, doesn't seem able to pick up on your hints, radiating a general aura of smug condescension.
It seems introductions in this castle are never easy, but let's start again. My name is Violet. How has your morning been, Fennel? Did I barge into the kids' channel by mistake? You can talk to me normally, okay?
You saying that is a bit.
What are you talking about, smarty pants?
I'm going to need more tea than normal for this one. Violet tries to be as polite and kind as she is with everyone else, but it's quite apparent that Fennel just isn't cut from the same cloth. From what you've seen so far, Fennel doesn't seem that special. You understand everyone's warnings about her magical power, but to you she just seems like a girl with a height complex. Should we get going? After much reluctance, the tour finally starts. Just like back when you arrived, you all visit the rooms one by one, giving the usual explanations. However, the results today quickly diverge off the beaten path.
A run-of-the-mill hall? Do you think I'm stupid? I can understand this much, thanks. The kitchen? I can eat anything, but if someone else wants to cook for me, I won't complain. Can you cook?
I usually cook for everyone, so leave it to me. Violet claps her hands together, excited at the prospect of finding common ground with Fennel. When it comes to cooking,
Sure, next.
Yeah? Fennel dismisses you and leaves the room before you can even open your mouth.
Wow, books. Thanks for bringing me here. I would never have guessed what room this is. I thought you might be interested in some of our magic tomes. We have all kinds of authors for every specialty, and since you're such a famous magician... Oh, for me those are all just bad memories. I'd rather not. I'm sorry, I should have suspected that magic would bring up bad memories from your childhood. No, magic is cool, and I'm not really that bothered about the war. It's studying that I can't handle. So much time in front of the books. My eyes grow dizzy just thinking about it. It's one of the many reasons why I hate the old man.
I'm starting to pity Thistle right about now.
Here you can train as much as you wish. As you can see, we have all kinds of equipment for anything you may need. Train? Do you really want me to train? If I get serious, I can't guarantee this castle's safety.
I know modesty is not your forte, but I don't think you're planning to stay here just to enjoy the holidays.
Well, that was actually my exact plan.
What a shining example of heroism.
If I want something, I'll just go out and take a walk around the city to not bother you all. Let's not get melodramatic here.
About that... You stop for a second, exchanging gazes with Violet. You thought Fennel already knew about the regulations thanks to Thistle, surprised that she hasn't you attempt to explain them to her once again. The girl's eyes widen as you continue until she finally explodes at the end.
What? Going out in groups are free? Nobody told me that.
Thistle actually told you, but you never paid much attention to him.
It's always that old man coming up with this nonsense. I'm not going to let him get away with this one. Oh no, I swear on my name.
A very pissed heroine stomps her way back to the castle, not leaving any room for discussion.
It seems reality truly does surpass fiction. I would never have guessed Fennel to be so Fennel.
You know, in situations like these, I'm glad I don't remember anything.
Are you sure about that? You seem to be the best at handling her.
I hope you're right, because I have a bad feeling regarding what she might get up to. I'd better follow her inside for now.
Good luck. If something goes wrong, let me know and I'll try to help. Although I imagine that for once it's better if I leave this to others.
You bid farewell, not really sure what Violet's going on about, as you leave in a hurry.
What do you mean I can't leave on my own? Who do you think I am, old man?
You make it to the hall and join the other onlookers of the show. Since the very moment she arrived, Fennel and Thistle have argued about everything. Or to be more precise, Fennel gets annoyed at every little thing, while Thistle tries to calm her down with his usual courtesy. It's hard to see the legendary heroine and this girl throwing a temper tantrum. Outside of making snarky comments, no one dares to actually interfere. You all continue gossiping from a safe distance. Fennel, do you really think I gain anything from all this?
Save your breath.
Don't you see? I've never imposed any regulations on anyone. I only inform you for your own good.
Look, Thistle, you can shove your fancy rhetoric up your ass. I told you I would play along so I won't get in any trouble, but I don't have the slightest intention of swallowing all your nonsense. The regulations, the surveillance cameras, the patrols, the control of the supplies. Who do you think you are? All this for just a few people in this castle. What's next? Underwear checks? Do you want me to mark my next period into the group calendar?
There's no reason for you to get this angry, Fennel. You should know that I would never.
What? Isn't that your type? As if I didn't know about your getaways to please some young fanciful miss, you dirty old man.
It's just for a second, but Thistle's face darkens. He raises his arm, takes one step closer. His body looks enormous compared to Fennel's small frame. You've never felt such intense pressure coming from Thistle, not even when your lives were in danger. Fennel, however, stands her ground. You fear the worst. But in the end, he only grabs the girl's shoulder. This talk is over. Fennel shrugs him off and leaves, making no effort to hide her bad temper as she passes in front of your group of onlookers. After what you just saw, you should do something. Who do you want to follow? Sure, follow Fennel. While everyone else runs over to Thistle, you follow Fennel through the castle hallways until the two of you have reached the courtyard. The girl stops in place. She grips her own shoulder, the one Thistle grabbed before, with visible discomfort. And despite her back being turned to you, she notices your presence.
Why did you come here? I'm not up for another talk.
No, it's not that.
Oh, it's you. I should have guessed. Well, now, what do you want?
I was wondering why you want to go out so badly. It's not like there's anything out there. Why go through all the trouble?
What? Not really.
Then why all this ruckus and making everyone your enemy?
I just want to annoy the old man as much as possible. I can't let him get away with it.
Just for that? Are you serious?
It's more than enough reason in my book, but yes, there's another reason. A very simple one.
The girl summons her aura, a conceited smile on her face. It's so bright you're forced to cover your eyes. The wind starts to rise, swirling around both of you as if you're in the eye of a storm.
Because I can.
With a resounding slam, the great door behind her opens, leaving the path free to the external world.
Power is cultivated, earned each and every day through your own effort. If you ignore it, there comes a time where you obediently end up enslaving yourself based on excuses, and that's not something I will allow, no matter what. Tell me, haven't you noticed it too? Isn't there a strange sensation that crawls down your back every day? An empty hole, a feeling of loss you cannot comprehend? That's what's wrong with all of you in this castle. You all fell for his games. He always does the same thing. That kind, funny, even a bit silly attitude of his at first makes you relax, easing your most basic instincts. And then what? He exposes you little by little to different pieces of information. All of them are true, sure, but he gets to choose the order and method the information is presented. His way of explaining is always clear and visual. He hypnotizes you with enigmas and perfect analogies, always asking the questions to which he already holds the answers, forcing his answers to come out of your own mouth until your opinion is remodeled into his ideology. A perfect mix of mystery, admiration, fear, and logic. You want to learn more and that reels you in. By the time you realize his opinions are unique and subjective, it's become an established common sense. No one can negate that you must accept through social pressure. Don't you believe me? I'll ask you the same question you did to me. Why can't we leave the castle walls? Why the free people regulation?
You're suspicious of Fennel's words, wondering if there's a trick behind them, but you answer honestly. Because if the human and tulpa pairs, if 3 people go out together, at least one of them will be outside that pair, so if anything happens, what will happen? If someone is hiding something or plans to backstab us with an attack or is setting some kind of trap, how? They could cut off some supplies like when I arrived, or nothing. Come now, does that regulation really make a difference on what a pair of 2 people could accomplish? Huh? What do you mean? See, you've even lost the capacity to analyze the most basic things. You've taken so much for granted that you can't even see the puppeteer's strings. I'll ask again. What can a pair of 2 people accomplish, whether that regulation exists or not? Set traps to sabotage the castle? All of you are hiding here like frightened rats, surrounded by all kinds of security systems precisely for this very reason. Use some kind of weapon to siege the building? What about the regulation stops that from happening? You can just leave at any point, just like I'm going to do, and proceed to attack. The cameras already exist precisely to avoid that scenario. If anyone comes in or out of the castle, it's something you should already know. And let's say I decided to leave with 2 strangers without any assurance back in the castle. If they decided to band together to kill me, wouldn't that make their intentions too obvious? You don't need any regulations for that. Everyone would realize immediately, by their own genuine common sense, and look for other ways so they'd never be caught defenseless. What you should actually worry about is what's going on inside this castle. Have any of these regulations stopped the deaths, or is it that every time a pair disappears you'll all just look away? You cannot help but think of Helia and Columbine, everyone's attitude after their death, that indifference, and what Thistle said. He would take care of concealing the time you spent outside. Was it really that easy, as fragile as Fennel says? What guarantees there are no secret exits? Who tells you there are no other people in this castle taking advantage of the cover provided by these regulations? But of course there's always that what if, that small chance something outside of your grasp happens, a scenario where it may turn out useful. Because I won't deny it, it is a good idea to go out in groups of 3 people. It offers at least some security. However, it doesn't dispel the danger. The opposite, in fact. It numbs you. The regulations protect me, the cameras protect me, the castle protects me. There's always some superior entity protecting me with its invisible presence, so I shouldn't worry. Be it God, the law, the Queen, or Thistle's stupid regulations. In the end, no matter where you look, everyone falls prey to that same temptation of indolence. But you're in a war. Don't you realize people are dying? Don't you realize that sooner or later you will have to fight among each other, kill each other for the sake of your life and death? What kind of presumptuous dream do you guys think you're living? The jokes, the good vibes, those are nothing but delaying and deferring your own responsibility to a more convenient day. There's only one person who can protect you, and that's yourself. Silence envelops the courtyard. You can't look directly at Fennel. Why not tell Thistle this? Tell everyone else. Would I gain anything from that? As if anyone would accept responsibility for their own actions. The world may be sleeping, but not me. It's always someone else's fault. That's the first reaction that goes through your head to avoid the grim reality. Look, many of those regulations make sense. There's nothing too ridiculous, and a lot of thought went into them. But at the same time, they blind you to their negative effects. Those cannot come to the surface because that would entail accepting your own mistakes and your very nature as human beings. I'm not a human being, actually. The true aim of these regulations is control, offering answers to temporarily reduce stress and increase this false trust among the castle dwellers. To make them believe that anything wrong that happens is not their fault, because they follow the almighty dogma, or at least they made sure everyone else believes they follow it. In this way, the masses calm down and become manageable, even manipulable. You can do whatever you want as long as you maintain this balance between danger and peace. Because no one wants to go through suffering. No one is willing to confront their own demons, even at the damn end of the world. They avoid the bad taste of having to make cruel and extreme decisions. Also, they can repeat to themselves and over and over again, I'm a good person. What greater satisfaction than that exists, don't you think? The girl laughs mockingly. And why are you telling me this? Well, I guess you are the exception, or maybe I just felt like venting. You clench your fist and press it to your chest, whispering your suspicions. You know me? You know who I am? The girl taps a finger on her chin, looking around her before she answers. I don't know you, Sink, but I know you and the old man are connected, right? Your breath catches in your throat for an instant. You were created through the old man's subconscious, so you have nothing to worry about. He would never do anything to harm you. Do not forget that your destiny and his are connected. Do not let my words undermine your own conviction. At the end of the day, we are rivals. We'll have to fight if we want to survive. Fennel turns away.
I couldn't care less if the entire castle turns against me, or if you all decide to punish me for just taking a stroll. That might even be for the best, since that'd be the only way the battle could be considered fair.
Before leaving, the girl takes one look back, full of condescension.
Although I'm sure that by the time I'm back, everything will remain the same, so we can play together if you want. That's what I came here for after all, Sink. One thing doesn't negate the other. And now, if you'll allow me, I won't forget.
Fennel crosses that forbidden threshold without an ounce of shyness or embarrassment, in view of the cameras, in view of everyone, whistling cheerfully on her way to the city. The day passes, the hours tick by, and all that fear fades away. Just as she said, absolutely nothing happens. Forged in blood. Alright. Very long that. Tension has fallen all the way down to 0 again after our duel. And with that, let's just have a look at what... Okay, there's lots of secondary events. And there's lots of new main events. Okay. Lots to do in the next episode. So yeah. Thanks for watching. And yeah, until then, see you.